We have to stop sitting on the sidelines, stand up and start acting. And that's why we're here today. We want every one of you to get ignited and get involved. We're gonna introduce you to people and speakers who have been in the battle, who are fighting this fight and who are protecting our kids on a daily basis. So that's our intention today, is to make sure you leave here equipped and with the knowledge that you need to be empowered to go fight for our kids.
Amen, yes.
I helped with an event in down by San Diego, and he was one of the only speakers who had experience and who had been in this fight he has 4 years of documented evidence where he's been fighting this actively, but 10 plus years that he's been fighting this. And so Lewis is who I chose to get behind for governor, because he is the only person that is going to protect our kids on all levels. And he has plans, and I want you to hear them from him. So I am honored to introduce you to my friend, Lewis Herms.
Hey folks, whoa, look at that. Didn't know my voice was so powerful. I appreciate everybody being here. The fact that anybody takes any time out of their day to fight for the children is huge. It's huge. The first thing you should do is applaud for yourself. Thank you. And it's amazing that you would come and do this, because our children have wholesale been ignored for several decades, if not longer. I think we've probably figured that out by now. And if we're going to fight, we're not just fighting for our children, we're fighting for their children and all the children to come. Because we can go deep down the rabbit hole if we'd like, but the reality is children have become a commodity. And we have to speak truth to this evil. And if we want to cover our ears and our eyes and our mouths, then nobody's going to figure it out. And the reality is there was a sea change. If we just talk about the cartel itself, there was a sea change amongst the cartel about a decade ago, where they found out that they weren't profiting off of drugs as much as they really wanted to anymore, because people were figuring out how to get drugs from Big Pharma, they were figuring out how to make drugs themselves, so on and so forth. And then the influx of fentanyl, which is very inexpensive to make, became very prolific. In fact, we already have 3.5 to 4 times more fentanyl in the country right now, enough to kill everybody in the country. So what they said is, okay, where's the profit? Well, we can sell a drug and it can be used once, or unfortunately we can sell a child and it can be used several times a day. So from a business perspective, they were looking at it that this is where the profit is. And I believe that there's a satanic agenda behind this. Does anybody believe that may be true?
Yes.
Many people don't want to have that discussion, but there's really something deep and dark behind it. So in California alone, if you look at the profitability of human trafficking alone, it's at minimum the third, if not the second most profitable industry in California. And the reason why is because the top 3 industries run about a 10 to 15% profit margin after you extract that from it, and then you take the child trafficking, human trafficking, which by the way is a 95% profit margin, it gets way up there. So we're talking 50 to 75 billion per year in this state alone. People say, how's that possible? Well, there's a lot of entities involved, obviously. I can also tell you that if you live in Los Angeles, Orange County, and San Diego County, your housing is probably about 30% more, because the cartels have been laundering money through real estate for about 15 years and overpaying for real estate. And a lot of the houses remain empty. So that jacks up the prices. So this is a business. And the reason why that's so important to know, because when we look at this as a business to them, we know the evildoers will do everything they can to keep that business going. But it goes really, really far. So, of course, Epstein is in the news now, right? I was exposing the Epstein Files 6 years ago. Many of us were. Back then we were conspiracy theorists, and now we're conspiracy factualists, right? So congratulations on getting the word out, but still nothing's being done. And you don't have to be a partisan Republican or Democrat to know it's not happening. Now, there is some work individually. I've been noticing a lot more arrests because I'm in tune to that, and so on and so forth. And those are pedophiles, and that's good. I'm so happy they're going after pedos, as they should. but they're not taking down the big rings that are controlling these things, and they're fear-based. I can tell you there's a sheriff in the country that we thought was going to do the right thing. We got back to him a couple years ago, and he says, I can't, I'm afraid. So what are you talking about? He says, over 50% of my department will come after me because they're in on it. You imagine that? I just got the truth bumps. Okay, what is it? Disgusting. So he still said he's going to try to work on this, but he's trying to do it covertly. It's crazy. That's what we're dealing with, and it goes all the way to the top. And if you're not familiar with the way the system works, it is a system. Has anybody heard anything nefarious maybe about CPS? So I've been working on several CPS cases all over the country for several years. And I can tell you there's some really nice and good CPS workers. There's some really good foster parents, but the system is currently broken. It's a money machine. So you can make somewhere between $80,000 and $100,000 in the state of California just by yanking a child from their home. That's how much goes into the system. The attorneys are involved, the judges are involved. I have a list of them. We're building a website right now to expose these creeps. They're all involved in this system, and it's very hard to overcome, but it's the truth. So if you think I'm a tinfoil hat wearing conspiracy theorist, I said this may be the time to kind of just dig in a little bit farther and find out what's really, really going on. And if we're not going to fight for our children, who are? We are, because I believe we the people are the plan. I'm not counting on anybody in government. I'm not counting on President Trump. I'm not counting on any governor to do the right thing. They may not. Guess what? We're going to do the right thing. We're going to put so much pressure on all the establishments that they're going to crack. And it's coming. We have to push and push and push and push. And we've got this. To give you an idea, though, there's solutions. So I've done a lot of investigation to the CPS deal. Did you know it only takes, and this is a study done in Texas, by the way, it only takes approximately $2,500 to help a child stay in a home with the parent. Because it usually turns out to be an economic issue, a training issue, a cleanliness issue. 90%. Why are we ripping kids out of home? Because their feet are dirty. By the way, that's a true story. I helped fight on that case too. Their feet are dirty, so they rip them out of the home because they get money in the system to take care. It's disgusting. So would you rather pay $2,500 to educate, get some food in the home, and help them clean their house, or $100,000 out of the taxpayer money to rip a child and damage that child forever? Which one makes more sense? It's easy, A, but we've been ignoring A and we've been doing B forever. And I'm going to end with this because this is the most important thing, and I would, if everybody would just remember this, we can defeat this evil. If it's simple, it's God's work. If it's messy, something else is going on. God bless you.